Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Abby, I'm a lifestyle coach, and today I'm gonna be sharing with you some tips about how I eat clean, why I chose to switch to a totally non-processed foods diet, and how you can shift your mindset to where switching to a really clean and healthy diet feels easy for you. So let me just walk you through my whole non-processed foods journey. So a couple of years ago is when I started this diet and I started switching away from processed foods and started eating cleaner. I started meal prepping, making a lot of my meals at home. And before doing that, I spent so much time trying to eat healthy, but I struggled to keep extra weight off. I struggled to feel good and feel my best every day. Struggled with cravings, that sort of thing. And the majority of the issue is that I was eating stuff that I thought was healthy and it really wasn't. So for example, I would eat salads almost every day because I thought that that was the only way to be healthy. But I would eat whatever dressing came with the salad, and sometimes it would even have croutons and some fatty ingredients. So if you were to get a salad from Zaxby's, you might think it's healthy because it's a salad, but it's probably not, right? Because of all the ranch and just added stuff that they add to it. And so I would pretty much eat something like that, as well as maybe a drink from Starbucks that had a lot of sugar, and a cake pop for breakfast. And then I would eat maybe popcorn for dinner. So I would eat very little and only salads, stuff like that, things that I thought were healthy, and I thought that eating that low amount of food was healthy, but it was actually keeping me hungry. It was not giving me the nutrients I needed because it was a lot of processed foods, and it just kind of kept me stuck in a cycle where even though I was putting in high amounts of effort, I still wasn't seeing great results because what I was doing was not healthy and not sustainable. So through the years, I've finally developed a system that I've been on for years now that keeps me healthy and happy, feeling full all the time, and it's actually really good for you, and it's a great, just sustainable way to stay healthy. And so we'll start off. One of the first things that I did was switch to meal prepping. And so meal prepping is just where you make your food for the week and you follow some healthy recipes, and you make enough for 4 or 5 meals, and you plan what you're going to eat in advance. And that's so important because when it's 12 o'clock and you're halfway through the workday and the hunger kicks in, you might think, what would be good right now? I kind of want to go to Chick-fil-A and get, a chicken sandwich and fries. So you want to have a plan before the cravings kick in, especially when you're first starting a diet. And so that's why meal prepping is a great way to help you just have that safety net. And also meal prepping is a great way to ensure that you're eating enough and not too much or too little, right? So let's say back in the day when I was trying that only eat salads method. Well, there was no way for me to really confine and understand how much I was eating per day, because a salad, I would kind of just go to a salad bar place sometimes, and it's you can load up on nuts, croutons, dressing. There's plenty of things that you could add to the salad that makes it more calories than it actually is. So you don't really know exactly how much you're eating. Whereas if you meal prep, you can count out exactly what you put in the recipe, exactly how many calories it is if you're trying to count that way. And so that way you have a set container on how much you eat. And although this might be hard the first week or two that you do it, over time your body will get used to only eating that amount of food. And so it will be easy. So you might think that you don't have a lot of time for meal prepping, or that you don't really know how to make these healthy foods, or maybe you get bored of eating the same thing every day. So I would encourage you to go to TikTok or YouTube, and there's a lot of great tutorials out there for how you can make really healthy and easy recipes that are affordable. That was one of my biggest issues with getting started cooking. I was I don't know how, I don't have the equipment, I don't have the time or the money to make really expensive stuff. So I went to YouTube, I typed in easy chicken recipe meal prep, easy salmon recipe meal prep, rice recipe meal prep, healthy. I found all these good tutorials. They showed me how to do it, what to buy, that sort of thing. And once I got started, it just got easier from there. I started out just following the recipes almost exactly, and as I continued, I got better and better. I started switching out hey, I like to make it this way. I like to use these vegetables. I like to use less olive oil than what the recipe calls for. I like to use these seasonings. You'll get better as you go. And so another really important thing with meal prepping, or what meal prepping allows you to do versus like going to a restaurant, is you can cut out all the silent killer ingredients. So there's a lot of silent killer ingredients that restaurants will add to your food that you're not aware of. These are things like canola oil, vegetable oil, so any high processed oil, any high processed starches like cornstarch, modified starch. This is in so much of what restaurants make, even if they advertise it as healthy. And so I'm talking like Kava, Chipotle. There's plenty of big brand names out there that people think are healthy because they sell things like salads and they advertise it as health food. Even if you go to like a grocery store and get pre-made salads or pre-made healthy food, it's loaded with this vegetable oil, right? So when you cook it, you can control what goes in there. You can control not putting butter, not putting highly processed oil, not putting extra starches, preservatives, all that stuff. Those things, there's research out there that shows that that modified oil stays in your body for months and even years. It's hard to detox and flush those chemicals and that processed junk out of your body. That's what causes inflammation, and that's what keeps you stuck in the cycle of craving, because those things, they're chemically engineered to make you addicted to certain foods, like the junk food and the processed food that they sell in grocery stores, like chips, pretzels, Oreos, you name it. Those foods have been chemically engineered to keep you hooked, to keep you buying more. And it's because of ingredients like modified starches, vegetable oils. That's what's in those foods that make them so addictive and that make them so bad for you, because it's causing inflammation, it's spiking your blood sugar. And so when you eat processed food like that, your blood sugar will spike. It will make you feel really good at first, and then you'll crash. You'll have that crash like 3 to 4 hours later, or maybe sooner. And a lot of you probably noticed this, right? I used to notice that when I would have like a salad with a bunch of like dressing and croutons and a cake pop for lunch, I would feel really good for a couple hours and I would crash and get really tired out of nowhere. When you eat whole non-processed foods without modified carbs, you don't crash at all. You feel great throughout the whole day. And it keeps you full and satisfied until you genuinely need more food. That's another major perk. So also with meal prepping, over time, like I mentioned, you can find that balance that works for you. So what's really important is cutting out foods that are low in content, but high in calorie. So for example, peanut butter. 2 little teaspoons or tablespoons of peanut butter is like 200 calories. That's barely any food. You can eat an entire slab of salmon for that amount. You could have a good bit of rice, an entire serving of rice, and those things are full. They fill you up, right? Whereas like 2 little teaspoons of peanut butter, your mind won't process that you've eaten a lot, because those things are so easy to just like consume like that. Same if you eat something that has a lot of added oil and butter, and it makes your food high in calorie but low in content. Your brain won't process that you've actually eaten a lot because you haven't gone through the steps of like chewing it, digesting it, that sort of thing. So you'll stay hungry and you're eating a lot calorie wise, but you're just not getting that satisfying, filling content. So as you meal prep over time, you can find a routine that works for you. And so everyone's body is different, right? No one diet will work for everybody. That's why it's important to experiment with that stuff and figure out like, okay, I'm someone that, I like a lot of protein, like salmon and chicken and things like that fill me up. Whereas if I only have like a fruit bowl or something plant-based with a bunch of legumes, I feel kind of weird. That's how I am, right? Like I like to have protein like steak, chicken, eggs, fish. That really helps me stay full. Whereas if I do something more plant-based made from like legumes or beans, I don't personally like that. But I know some people who love like plant-based healthy bean meals or stuff that's made with like chickpeas, that sort of thing. And that fills them up, and that's great. So that's why meal prepping, it can help you like find a routine that will work for you every time, once you learn to like understand your body and understand like what feels good for you. It's also important that you eat a well-balanced diet and you get lots of nutrients in your food. So the human body is supposed to have a wide range of nutrients. If you think about it, humans have only been consuming processed food for a very short amount of time. Back even in the 1950s, 1940s, this processed food wasn't the majority of what people were consuming. Like, my grandma tells me stories of growing up on the farm and literally growing their own food, harvesting their own animals or whatever. And I'm like, wow, no wonder you've lived such a happy and healthy life. She's in her late 90s and she is so healthy, like in great shape in every way, mentally, physically, emotionally. Like, she's just lived a long and healthy life. And so processed foods haven't really become the norm or become super mainstream. I think it was like 70s or 80s. And so we don't really know the effect of like growing up as kids on this stuff will have. So it's important to kind of change your mindset about this stuff. Like, when I started making these switches, I would tell like my friends and family, and they were like, oh wow, I don't know how you do that. I love chips too much, or I love snacking too much. I love Oreos too much. Like, how do you live without these foods? A big part of it is just changing your mindset. I started viewing these foods as the enemy. Like, you hear so much about preservatives, added dyes, red number 4 or whatever it is, all these chemicals that are in these processed foods. They're so bad for you. We know they're carcinogenic. We know they're linked to diseases. So for me, it was a big part of it was just switching my mindset to where when I'm walking down the cereal aisle, instead of thinking like, ooh, I used to love Lucky Charms, or like a bowl of cereal would be so good right now. Instead of thinking about it that way, I think about it for what it is. Like, it's a company selling me toxic, poisonous food, trying to make money off of me. It's not investing in my body in any way. It's not contributing to my health in any positive way. And there's no value in it. And once I kind of had that mindset shift, I stopped looking at things as like an enjoyment or like a pleasure or like something to eat for fun. I started looking at it as just food in general as a strategy. Like, how can I eat healthy and sustain my body? How can I eat blah. And it's also important that you're eating like a wide variety of nutrients, because humans used to naturally get those nutrients through the food that they would consume, because different vegetables, different fruits, they have different vitamins, and your body needs all these different vitamins and minerals in order to perform its natural functions. So many diseases today that people have are actually linked to vitamin deficiencies, and different healthcare providers may not be totally clear about what's actually causing those issues. So like people that have, joint pains or inflammation, it could actually be a certain vitamin deficiency, and they never really get to the root problem of figuring out why that's going on. And so that's why it's important to eat a wide variety of nutrients, as well as just consuming whole non-processed foods. And so a good way to do that is trying to consume 30 different plants in your like weekly or monthly meal prep lineup, because different plants have different nutrients and different minerals within them. So one thing I like to do is I try to get at least 30 different kinds of things that have all those different stuff. So another important thing is there's a little switches that you can make in your meal prepping routine that will help you opt for like the healthier option, low calorie options, that sort of thing. So for me personally, I struggle with dairy. So dairy causes me to break out, and it gives me like digestive issues sometimes. And so I've learned to switch, like when I'm making salad dressings, instead of using, if it calls for like milk, creamer, something like that, I will switch it for Greek yogurt. Or in my coffee, instead of having like regular creamer, I'll do oat milk. Instead of having like regular processed white sugar, I'll do like cane sugar, raw sugar. So slowly, you should try to swap out all of the higher calorie stuff that's less good for you with like a healthier alternative. And I did this over the process of a couple of years, right? Like I started out, okay, I want to eliminate dairy. So I started making those changes. And then after a while, I heard about the benefits of switching to raw sugar instead of doing the highly processed sugar. So then I switched that out. So there's little changes that you can make over time that will lead to a healthier, more sustainable diet. And so I also want to talk about the structure of how you should plan your meals and your weeks. Obviously, it can get really repetitive and tiresome to eat the same thing every single day and to have to meal prep all the time. And I'm definitely not someone that believes in never splurging. But what I do believe is that you should have certain rules or requirements or like understandings about what food you should never have and what food is a good like splurge meal. So for me, for example, I know that like processed food is not good for you. I'm talking about like processed chips, canola oil, Oreos, cookies, like things that are highly processed and have all that junk, all that food dye, all the not good things. My logic behind it is like, if you can't have it every day, you should probably never have it. Like if it's something that is just objectively bad for you and objectively does nothing for your health, like why tempt yourself? Why give yourself that temptation of, oh, I've been good, so let me get a pack of Oreos. Like I used to do that, right? I used to think to myself like, oh, I've eaten clean for a while, I deserve a treat. And I still have treats, but I've decided to come up with finding like healthy treats for me that I can look forward to and enjoy, and also feel guilt-free about, you know, the treat was still healthy and good. So a lot of times it will be like Greek yogurt ice cream, or a fruit bowl, or an acai bowl, or dark chocolate, or, you know, something that I couldn't really have every day, but it's great for like a once a week splurge type of thing. Or even going to a fresh cafe and ordering like a fresh baked croissant or like fresh baked pancakes. So one big thing I want to avoid is not having a clear boundary between what I can do and what I can't do. Because if that were the case, then every time I would go to the grocery store, I would think, ooh, like I haven't had Oreos in a while. Can I get that? Like I'd kind of be on the fence about it. And I think like, ooh, yeah, maybe like I haven't had them in forever. Is it really that bad to have just one? But if you think about it, that temptation, having that temptation there adds a lot of mental burden to you and a lot of mental stress. You're kind of on the fence. Like you don't want to be like, ooh, when can I have it? I can have it sometimes. Honestly, you just want to have set rules that you never break, because it will be so much easier for you and so much more sustainable if you don't have to have that mental battle every time you go to the store. That's why I love splurges that are like, ooh, I can have a croissant at a cafe, because it's non-processed, it's fresh. And how many times am I gonna go to a cafe and get a croissant? You know, I just don't have that opportunity come up as much. And it's kind of expensive too. Like some croissants at cafes are like $8. Like it's not something I can do every day. And so it's naturally like a fun, like once in a blue moon kind of splurge. So a good rule of thumb that I like to go by is like, can I have this every day? Or what would happen if I had this every day? So like an example is like, sometimes I like to get a shaken espresso from Starbucks. I think it's like 150 calories. It has oat milk and a few pumps of like brown sugar. So that drink is like, it's not terrible, it's not great for you, but like if I had it every day, it wouldn't be the end of the world, right? So that's something that I'll allow myself to have occasionally, an appropriate amount of time, like once a week, without feeling too bad about it. Whereas I could also ask myself, what would happen if I had a big piece of cheesecake from a bakery, like, or from Publix or whatever, every single day? That'd be pretty bad, right? Because dairy is just bad for my skin. Cheesecakes are very high in calorie and have a lot in the added like processed sugar that Publix uses in their bakery. That's not something I could ever have every day, right? So that's on the no list for me. So that's kind of how I think through things. Or like my favorite treat is a big acai bowl. And so no, I couldn't have it every day because it does have some added sugar, and I like to get like Nutella or chocolate sprinkled on top. But it does have a lot of fruit, and the fruit has some great nutritional value. I'm getting a different nutrient profile from those different fruits, different vitamins, different minerals, that sort of thing. And so like, I think to myself, this is a healthy treat. It's not across the line. This is something that's, you know, okay for me to have once a week. So one other aspect of my routine that helps it stay so much more sustainable is that I have clearly set guidelines on when I can have like a reward or a treat or a splurge day. You don't want to just have a splurge whenever you've earned it, or whenever it feels right, or whenever you feel like it, you know, or for at least that doesn't work for me, because then I get into the situation where I don't really know, like, when is that? Is it when I've completed a lot of work and I get to go reward myself? Like, I don't want to have that mental battle or that mental step in figuring out when is the right time for a treat. So my rule is just like once a week I can get an acai bowl, once a week I can get a Starbucks. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, this is for you to figure out whatever feels good for your body. But I would advise that you have clearly set parameters for when you can splurge. And that just makes it easier on you because you don't have that temptation of like, I can do this at any time. So that's pretty much it. In summary, the main things that I changed to have a healthy and sustainable diet easily without feeling like I'm not eating enough or etc. Number one, changing my mindset around processed foods. So starting to see them like the enemy, like it's bad for you, you just don't even want to go there. Number two, having a planned meal prep routine. And so not waiting till the day of to plan what I'm gonna eat, having that structure, having healthy meals planned out, knowing how much is enough to eat every day, and so that way my body knows what to expect of like how much food we get on the average day. And three, cutting out unhealthy ingredients like modified starches, oils, too much butter or dairy, processed sugars, that sort of thing. Switching for healthier alternatives like extra virgin olive oil, Greek yogurt, cane sugar, etc. And then four, having set parameters and a set schedule for when I can have rewards. So understanding that rewards come once a week, rewards can only be these certain things, and making sure that criteria is met. And so that way I'm not faced with temptation anytime I accomplish something and my mind's not going in the back of my head, I just did something hard. Is it time for another reward? No, my mind knows exactly when reward time is, and I just don't have to fight that mental battle. But yeah, that is pretty much a high-level overview of my health routine. If this was helpful, please follow the channel. I share lots of health tips, productivity tips, and just life hacks in general. See you next time.